The Galactic Council had ruled the stars for longer than most species could remember. Its great ring station floated above a dead blue star, wide enough to hold cities and old enough to feel like a god-made thing. Every major power sent representatives there, and every smaller species feared it. The Council did not often go to war. It did not need to. It ruled through orders, laws, and tribute. Tribute was simple. If a species was judged weak, unstable, or useful, it paid. Resources, labor, technology limits, and sometimes even people. Those who agreed survived. Those who refused were erased slowly, so others would learn. Humanity had reached the wider galaxy only 40 standard years ago. Their ships were fast, but not elegant. Their colonies were scattered and rough. Their politics were loud and confusing. To the Council, humans looked like another young species that would bend once pressure was applied. The order was issued without drama, species designation. Human, the automated voice announced in the Council chamber. Status review complete. Tribute classification approved. The terms appeared in light above the floor. Raw materials from 3 outer colonies. Workforce quotas from 2 population zones. Military restrictions on ship mass and weapon output. Permanent observers placed in Earth's orbit. Several counselors showed signs of amusement. Others barely paid attention. This was routine. At the center platform stood Hana Lee, the human ambassador. She was not a soldier. She did not wear armor or medals. She wore a simple dark suit, hands folded, face calm. She listened without interrupting. The presiding counselor finished the reading and looked down at her. "You have 1 cycle to respond," it said. "Compliance will ensure your continued existence within council space." Hannah nodded once. She did not argue. She did not ask for changes. She simply said, "Understood." The chamber moved on to the next matter. Far away, on Earth. The transmission played again in secure rooms. A. Kim watched the floating text in silence. He was a fleet coordinator, not a politician, but the moment the words appeared, he felt something cold settle in his chest. Tribute was not a tax. It was a leash. "They think we'll accept this," someone said quietly. Era Choi stood with her arms crossed. She was a strategist, known for her blunt way of speaking. "They're not guessing," she said. "They're assuming." Screens around them showed data pulled from old council records. Species histories, patterns. Every case where tribute was accepted ended the same way. Slower growth. Controlled technology. Eventual collapse or absorption. No species had ever refused outright. On Mars, in a deep research facility, Jiho Park received the alert. He paused his work and read the summary. He did not swear or shout. He simply leaned back and closed his eyes. "So it's our turn," he said. Across human space, similar moments happened. Officers stopped mid-task. Engineers rechecked numbers. Civilians saw filtered news and felt a quiet fear they could not name. The official response window was 1 cycle. The council expected debate, bargaining, maybe internal fighting. That was how it always went. What the council did not see was how humans reacted when an outside force made the threat clear. On Earth, emergency sessions were called. Not public ones, quiet ones. Old protocols were unlocked. Files marked "never needed" were opened. There were arguments, but they were short. There were questions, but they led to the same answer. If humanity accepted tribute, it would never be free again. If it refused, the council would respond. The risk was clear. Hanalei stood in another room, smaller than the council chamber, facing a circle of screens. Leaders from different regions appeared, some tired, some angry, some afraid. "They expect negotiation," one said. "We could delay. They will push again. another replied. And again. Hana waited until the voices slowed. Then she spoke. They are not asking for cooperation, she said. They are setting limits on what we are allowed to become. Silence followed. What is your recommendation? Someone asked. Hana did not answer right away. She thought of the chamber, the laughter, the calm certainty that humanity would kneel. We respond clearly, she said, in a way that cannot be misunderstood. Dae Kim leaned forward. That will bring punishment. Yes, Hana said. But confusion first. Era Choi understood before the others. A small smile crossed her face. No speeches, she said. No explanations. Exactly, Hana replied. Preparations began, but quietly. No mass fleet movements. No loud signals. Just readiness. Shipyards shifted schedules. Training exercises became longer. Defensive systems came online under the cover of routine maintenance. Ji-ho, Park authorized the activation of systems the Council had never been told about. Not weapons. Not yet. Sensors. Networks. Fail-safes designed for one purpose only. Survival. When the response cycle ended, the Council chamber filled again. The mood was relaxed. This was the part where young species pleaded. The human channel opened. Hana Lee appeared on the central display. She looked the same as before, calm, still. State your response, the presiding counselor said. Hana nodded once. Humanity has reviewed the order, she said. Her voice was steady, clear, and carried across the chamber. Several counselors leaned forward. Already bored. Our response is complete. Hana continued. A single word appeared in light between them. Translated instantly. Perfectly. No. For a moment, there was no reaction. The word seemed too small to matter. Then the chamber erupted. Sounds of shock, anger, disbelief. Some laughed, thinking it was a joke. Others stood, flashing warning colors. The presiding counselor struck the platform. Clarify, it demanded. There is nothing to clarify, Hana said. That is our answer. This is not acceptable, the counselor said. We understand, Hana replied. And you still refuse? Yes. The channel closed. Across the council chamber, silence fell again. But this time, it was heavy. On Earth. Dae Kim watched the confirmation light turn green. He let out a slow breath. Era Choi looked at the tactical displays lighting up across the system. Now, she said, they decide how to teach us a lesson. Ji-ho Park opened a secure channel and sent a single message to multiple locations. They heard us, it read. Proceed. Humanity had spoken only one word. The Council had never been told no before, and it did not yet understand what that meant. The Council did not answer at once. That alone was strange. For a body that ruled half the known galaxy, delay was rare. Orders were usually followed by punishment within hours. But the words spoken by humanity did not fit into any old pattern. It was too simple. Too final. Inside the Great Ring Station, emergency sessions were called. Senior counselors gathered in sealed chambers, their forms glowing, shifting, or standing rigid, depending on their kind. They insult us, one counselor said. They mock our authority. They are testing us, said another. Young species do this when they believe they are special. They are not special, a third replied. They are fragile. But even as they spoke, data screens showed details that caused unease. Human ships had not scattered. Colonies had not gone dark. Instead, everything looked calm. Too calm. They should be arguing among themselves, one analyst said. We see no sign of internal collapse. The presiding counselor watched the reports without speaking. At last, it raised a limb. Authorize a limited enforcement action, it said. One target. No escalation. The decision passed quickly. This was how the council taught lessons. The target chosen was a small human colony on the edge of mapped space. No major fleets nearby. Minimal defenses, according to Council records. The strike force was modest, but overwhelming by local standards. It was meant to send a message. When the fleet departed, confidence returned to the Council chamber. On the human side, the message was already expected. HFY stood in a dark control room, watching the approach vector appear on the display. They chose the outer colony, she said. As predicted. Kim nodded. They want fear, not destruction. That's fine, Era replied. They'll get surprise instead. Far from Earth, beyond normal trade lanes, Commander Sun Quan waited. His task group was small. Too small to matter, according to Council logic. His ships did not carry massive guns or bright shields. They were quiet, cold, almost invisible against the background of space. Sun Quan listened as his sensor officer spoke. Council fleet entering range. Formation stable. No deviation. They don't see us, Sun said. No, the officer replied. They are not even looking. The Council fleet moved with discipline, but also with certainty. They had done this many times. Strike. Withdraw. Let fear spread. Then space bent. Not violently. Not visibly. Just enough. Council sensors screamed warnings too late. Human ships appeared where nothing should have been. Signals flooded channels. Engines failed. Weapons went silent. Sun Quan raised a hand. Disable only, he said. No pursuit. Human weapons fired with precision. Energy fields collapsed. Control systems shut down. Ships drifted, intact but helpless. The entire engagement lasted less than 4 minutes. Then the human task group vanished. When the Council fleet failed to report, confusion spread. What do you mean, no signal? A counselor demanded. They are not destroyed, an analyst said slowly. They are intact, disabled. Silence filled the chamber. Moments later, the first return transmission arrived. A damaged Council cruiser limped back into sensor range, broadcasting on all channels. Its message was simple. It had been stopped, surrounded, disarmed. And then released. No threats had been spoken. No demands made. Only a short statement transmitted in clear language. Do not test this boundary again. Fear spread through the chamber like cold. They let them go, one counselor said. Why? To tell the story, another answered. On Earth, news of the engagement was restricted, but within military and scientific circles, the effect was immediate. Jiho Park reviewed the combat data in silence. They still don't know how we did it, he said. That's the point, HFY replied. We don't need them to know everything. Only enough. Kim looked at the wider map. They won't stop with one attempt. No, Era said. But they will hesitate. In the Council chamber, arguments broke out. This was an ambush, one counselor said. We respond with full force. And lose more ships to unknown methods? Another replied. Against a species that refuses tribute, but does not attack first? The presiding counselor raised its voice. They defied us. That alone is reason enough. Or, a quieter voice said, they warned us. Records were pulled. Ancient ones. Cases where a species resisted in strange ways. Almost all had ended badly, but humanity was not expanding. Not claiming Council worlds. Not attacking trade routes. They were only defending. Hana Li watched the Council response from a secure link. She showed no reaction, but inside she felt the tension tighten. They are afraid, she said to Kim over a private channel. They won't admit it, he replied. No, Hannah said. That makes them dangerous. On smaller worlds across the galaxy, the story spread. A species had said no, and survived. Some listened carefully. Others hoped. The council delayed further action, choosing observation over force. Surveillance increased. Probes were sent. Diplomatic pressure was applied quietly. Humanity responded by doing nothing dramatic. Trade continued. Borders held. Fleets remained unseen. That calm unsettled the council more than open war. Jiho Park received another alert. They are scanning deeper, an aide said. They will find limits, Jiho replied. Everyone does. On the ring station, the presiding counselor stared at the human sector display. One word, it said. And this is the result. The council had wanted obedience. Instead, it had learned something new. Humanity did not shout. It did not threaten. It simply meant what it said. And somewhere deep in council space, an old fear returned, the fear of a species that could not be forced. The council told itself that it was still in control. Official statements were released, calm and measured. The failed strike was called a misunderstanding. The disabled fleet was described as a technical error. No mention was made of fear. Privately, the council watched humanity more closely than any species before. Long-range sensors followed human trade ships. Probes drifted near human borders. Diplomatic agents spoke to anyone willing to listen. They searched for cracks, for weakness, for signs of panic. They found none. Human space remained quiet. Too quiet. On Earth, life went on. Cities stayed bright. Ships came and went. There were no public speeches about war, no mass rallies, no calls for sacrifice. That silence confused the council. They are hiding something. One counselor said, they must be preparing. Another agreed. Both were right. But not in the way the council expected. Hana Lai walked through a secure hallway beneath Earth's surface. Screens along the walls showed live feeds from across human space. She studied them without stopping. Dae Kim joined her, his expression serious. Council observers are pushing harder, he said. They want more access. They always do when they lose control, Hannah replied. Hera Choi waited for them inside the strategy room. The main display showed a map of council space, layered with data points. They're watching our borders, Hera said. But they're also watching each other. Hannah looked closer. Explain. Smaller species are asking questions, Hera said. Quiet ones. About our response. About what happens if someone refuses tribute. Dae Kim let out a slow breath. The council will not like that. No, Hera said. And that's the real danger. The council's power did not come only from ships. It came from belief. From the idea that resistance was useless. Humanity had damaged that idea. In council territory, a minor species delayed its tribute shipment for the first time in centuries. Another requested renegotiation. A third asked for human observers. Each request was small. Together, they were terrifying. The presiding counselor watched the reports with growing anger. This cannot continue, it said. Humanity is destabilizing order. They have not attacked, an advisor said carefully. They do not need to, the counselor replied. Their example is enough. A decision was made. Not a strike. Not yet. A demonstration. The council selected a different target. Not human, but close. A neutral trade hub that depended on council protection. The message would be clear to everyone watching. Defy the council. And chaos follows. The fleet moved openly this time. In human space. The movement was seen immediately. They're going to punish someone else, Dae Kim said. To scare us, Hera added. Hannah felt a familiar weight settle in her chest. If we do nothing, she said, we teach the galaxy that our no only protects us. Silence followed. Jiho Park's face appeared on a side screen. We can intervene, he said. But that reveals more than we planned. Hera nodded slowly. Or we intervene carefully. Commander Sun Quan was already in motion. His task group moved along paths that avoided known sensors. They did not race. They did not rush. Timing mattered more than speed. The Council fleet reached the trade hub first. Ships spread into attack formation. Civilian traffic panicked. Then human ships arrived. Not in force, not in position. Council commanders shouted orders. Weapons locked. Targeting systems struggled. Again. Space bent. Again. Systems failed. But this time, the humans did not vanish immediately. Sun. Quan's voice cut through open channels. Calm, clear. This world is not under tribute enforcement, he said. Withdraw. The Council commander hesitated. That pause cost them everything. Human ships disabled the lead vessels with surgical precision. Not destruction. Control. The rest of the Council fleet pulled back. The trade hub was left untouched. Across the galaxy. The message spread faster than any official report. Humans had defended someone else. On the Council ring, chaos followed. They are undermining us openly now. A counselor shouted. They are choosing sides, another said. No, a third replied quietly. They are drawing lines. The presiding counselor stared at the human sector display. They interfere without conquering, it said. They protect without demanding tribute. That makes them dangerous, an advisor said. Yes, the counselor agreed, because others may follow them willingly. In the days that followed, requests flooded human channels. Not alliances. Not pledges. Questions. Double quotes. What happens if we say no? Humanity answered carefully. We will not rule you. We will not take your worlds. But we will not allow forced tribute near our borders. It was not a promise of safety. It was a statement of limits. Hana. Lee returned to the Council chamber for the first time since the refusal. The atmosphere had changed. There was no laughter now. No boredom. You interfere in Council affairs, the presiding counselor said. We protect stability, Hana replied. You inspire rebellion. We inspire choice. The counselor leaned forward. You are one species. Hana met its gaze. So were all of you once. The chamber fell silent. Outside, fleets moved. Borders shifted. Beliefs cracked. Humanity had not declared war, but the old order was no longer. Unquestioned. And the Council was beginning to understand the truth it feared most. Word no had not been an answer. It had been the beginning. The Council no longer spoke of punishment in calm voices. Meetings stretched for entire cycles. Old rules were argued over. Younger counselors demanded force. Older ones warned of caution. The ring station, once a symbol of order, now felt tense and uncertain. Humanity had done something no fleet had ever achieved. It had made the Council doubt itself. Reports continued to arrive from across Council space. Tribute deliveries were late. Some were smaller than required. A few never arrived at all. Each delay was explained away as an accident, a shortage, a misunderstanding. The Council knew better. They are watching us, one counselor said. Waiting to see what we do. They are waiting to see if we still matter, another replied. The presiding counselor struck the platform. We matter because we enforce order, it said. An order must be restored. A new plan formed. This time, it would not be a fleet action. It would be pressure, isolation. Humanity depended on trade, information, and movement through shared space. The Council issued quiet directives. Trade routes near human borders were rerouted. Insurance protections were withdrawn. Access to shared navigation data was restricted. No weapons fired, but the intent was clear. On Earth, the effects were felt within days. Cargo captains reported delays. Civilian companies complained. Prices began to rise in outer colonies. They are squeezing us, Dae Kim said during a secure briefing. They believe we will break without a fight, Era Choi replied. Hanali listened, her expression unreadable. They are using fear again, she said. Just slower. Jiho Park spoke next. We anticipated this, he said. Our reserves are stable, but perception matters. Era nodded. If our people feel isolated, doubt will grow. Hannah folded her hands. Then we do not look isolated. Humanity responded in a way the Council did not expect. Instead of closing borders, humans opened them. Trade lanes were offered to independent species at fair terms. Shared navigation data was released freely. Repair docks welcomed ships the Council had turned away. The message spread quietly. Human space was open. Smaller species noticed. Some were afraid. Some were curious. A few took the risk. The first convoy arrived from a minor trading group that had never dealt directly with humans before. It passed through safely. Goods were exchanged. No tribute was demanded. More followed. The Council watched this with growing alarm. They are replacing us. An advisor said. They are not replacing us, the presiding counselor replied. They are weakening us. Worse, humanity did not attach conditions. No oaths, no permanent ties. Just trade. Choice. That word appeared again and again in Council intelligence reports. On the ring station, the Council called Hana Lee back for formal talks. This time, the chamber was full. Security was tight. You interfere with Council systems, the presiding counselor said. We adapt. Hannah replied, you offer protection without authority. We offer access without fear. Murmurs spread through the chamber. End these actions, the counselor said. Return to your assigned place. Hannah shook her head. There is no assigned place for us. That sentence landed harder than any threat. Behind the words stood fleets that did not advance. Weapons that did not fire. A power that refused to act like one. Meanwhile, the Council's pressure campaign continued. Sanctions expanded. Warnings were issued to species trading with humans. Some backed away. Others did not. Commander Sun Quan oversaw patrols near a new trade corridor. His ships escorted convoys without incident. They expect us to claim territory, his officer said. Sun shook his head. We don't need to. In Council records, power was measured by control, by lines drawn on maps. Humanity drew none. That made the situation harder to fight. Jiho Park reviewed long-term projections. If this continues, he said, the Council loses relevance. Not through defeat, but neglect. Era smiled slightly. That might scare them more than war. Fear did not take long to turn into desperation. Within the Council, a final option was discussed. One that had not been used in generations. A full declaration. Not war. Exclusion. Humanity would be declared outside Council law. All interaction forbidden. Any species dealing with humans would face penalties. It was a gamble. They will be alone, one counselor argued. And they will fail. Or, another said, we push the galaxy toward them. The vote passed by a narrow margin. The declaration was issued. Across Council space, alerts sounded. Trade with humans was labeled illegal. Access denied. Warnings repeated. On Earth, the news broke publicly for the first time. Citizens watched the announcement in silence. They want to cut us off, someone said. They want to make an example. Another replied. Hannah Lee addressed the public that same day. She did not shout. She did not promise victory. We did not choose this path, she said. But we will walk it. No panic followed. No riots. Humanity adjusted. Trade rerouted. Local production increased. Old technologies were refined. New partnerships formed quietly beyond Council sight. The galaxy watched. The Council waited for collapse. It did not come. Instead, something worse began to happen. Species declared neutral zones around human trade lanes. Others ignored Council warnings entirely. A few openly questioned Council authority for the first time. The presiding counselor stared at the reports, its certainty finally cracking. "They do not need us," it said. And for the first time in its long existence, the Galactic Council faced a future where its orders could be ignored, not with rebellion, not with war, but with refusal, patience, and a quiet strength it could not control. The Council waited for the moment when humanity would ask to return. It did not happen. Cycles passed. Then more. The exclusion order remained in place, but its weight grew lighter with time. Trade moved along new paths. Information flowed through channels the Council did not fully control. The galaxy adjusted, slowly and carefully. The Council still existed. Its fleets still patrolled. Its laws were still spoken. They were simply no longer final. On the ring station, the presiding counselor stood before a gathering smaller than it once had been. Several seats were empty. Some species had stopped attending in person. Others sent lower-ranked delegates. "We must restore authority," a counselor said, "or there will be nothing left to restore." "How?" another asked. War failed. Pressure failed. Silence failed. The chamber fell quiet. At last, an old counselor spoke, its voice low and steady. "Then we speak," it said, "not as rulers, as equals." The idea was dangerous, but so was the alternative. A message was drafted. It was revised many times. Words that once came easily now felt heavy. When the transmission was finally sent, it did not carry an order. It carried a request. On Earth, Hana Lee received it in a quiet room. She read it twice before speaking. "They want talks," Dae Kim said. "They want relevance," Era Choi replied. Hana looked at the message again. "They want stability," she said. "On new terms." Ji-ho Park leaned back in his chair. "Do we answer?" Hana nodded. "Yes, but carefully." The response did not rush. Humanity had learned the power of time. When the channel finally opened, the council chamber was tense. Guards stood ready. Observers leaned forward. Hana Lee appeared on the central display. "You requested dialogue," she said. "We are listening." The presiding counselor inclined its form slightly. It was a gesture no one remembered seeing before. "The tribute order is suspended," it said. Murmurs filled the chamber. "Permanently," the counselor continued. "For your species. And for others, pending review." Hannah did not smile. "Tribute should not exist," she said. The words struck harder than any weapon. The counselor did not argue. "Then help us replace it." Across the galaxy, news of the talk spread. Some celebrated. Some feared betrayal. Others waited to see what humanity would demand. Humanity demanded very little. No seats of control. No titles. No tribute of its own. Only limits. No forced labor. No population seizures. No punishment strikes without review. No secret enforcement fleets. The council resisted. Then compromised. Then yielded. Not because humanity threatened them. Because the galaxy was already changing. In the end, a new charter was signed. It was shorter than the old laws. Clearer. Harder to twist. The tribute order was removed from council authority. For the first time, refusal was allowed. Not without consequence, but without annihilation. When the session ended, the ring station felt different, smaller, quieter. Outside, fleets repositioned. Patrols stood down. Orders softened. Commander Sun Quan received new orders. Not to prepare for war, to stand watch. On Earth, life settled into a new normal. Trade returned, but on chosen paths. Alliances formed slowly. Humanity did not rush to lead. They let others choose. Hanalei walked beneath an open sky for the first time in weeks. They Kim joined her. They'll remember this, he said. Yes, Hana replied, but not the way they expect. In council archives, historians struggled to describe the shift. There was no great battle to mark it. No fallen capital. No final surrender. Only a moment, a single word. Records showed that humanity's rise did not begin with conquest, or even resistance. It began with refusal. Refusal spoken without anger, without fear, and without explanation. Chi-ho, Park watched a new generation of ships leave dock. They were not larger, not more dangerous. Just ready. Era Choi updated maps that no longer showed rigid borders. This will be unstable, she said. Hana nodded. Freedom usually is. Across the galaxy, species tested the new rules. Some failed. Some learned. Some returned to old habits. Humanity did not police them. They did not need to. The idea had taken root. That power did not require chains. That authority could be questioned. And that sometimes. The strongest response was the simplest one. In the council chamber, the presiding counselor stood alone for a long time after the others had left. It looked at the place where the human ambassador had peered. So small a word, it said softly. Yet it had changed everything. Not by force, but by drawing a line that could not be crossed. Humanity returned to the stars, not as rulers, and not as rebels, but as a reminder that no matter how old an empire becomes, it only rules as long as others agree, and that one clear refusal, spoken at the right moment, can frighten even the greatest council in the galaxy.